Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhoades joins us for a second time this week. Earlier in the week, a lot of it, the focus on the football team, the loss, and moving forward. Mack, thank you for your time. I think there's no question everybody's angry. Everyone's just like, what in the world? They don't want to wake up in the morning, and everyone's miserable. But I do think that based on just my experience of what I see or read, that you could have won 56-6, and there are people who are angry or they're upset or they don't quite understand what's happening with the game day experience. So thank you for joining us on this segment to discuss that. How much of that feedback do you actually get?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the certainly not all of it. I've got quality staff, talented staff that, handle some of it. But, my staff also knows that I want to know, particularly if there's themes, right? If there's, themes to any of the complaints, more than other things. And so those are the things that, that I want to make sure that I know and understand.
So this is just feedback from me, and not from me, but those to me. What is the story and the history? I saw some comments that the intro hype video had not changed, or what is actually the story behind that from your perspective?
Yeah, no, it's a fair question. I think just, simply, we've shifted our approach, in terms of the intro videos to, consistently highlight the history of our program and that it's, and so because of that, it's going to lead to some redundancy. But, I think it's a similar approach. We looked at some other bigger brands, some blue bloods, so to speak, and just how they honor, their past, they honor their past players. And I know that, it's certainly important to Coach Aranda to connect the fans, but also our current players, our current student athletes to our great legacy. And so, there's a bulk, a foundation of that video that is the same. And then, we add new highlights, at the end of the video. And so again, that's been, that was our approach, and, it will continue to be our approach. And, it's, certainly similar, like I mentioned, to some other programs here, across the country.
Mack, are there complaints that people have made, do you think are valid that you guys need to address more than others?
I think that we certainly, I think a couple things. I think one, I do think we listen. I don't think we operate with our heads in the sand. I think we take it all serious. There's certainly, context with a lot of it. I think, like one of the things that we took really serious was the on-field promotions and the number of them and how, they can take away from game energy and, a tight production. And so, I really felt like, the game on Saturday had a really, really, tight production. And in fact, I actually had, 3 different people come up to me, different time, different place, but comment on that. We didn't have any second half on field promotions, only one recognition wasn't during a quarter break. And so, those are things like when we brought on Playfly, our new partnership with them, that was really, really important. I think that we still have some improvement when we think about, we had a couple moments in time where, the band and DJ Elusive weren't necessarily on the same page, but, I thought, we've worked really hard to play the right music and at the right time. And, so, those are things that we pay a lot of attention to. Quite frankly, one of the biggest complaints we'll get is, for some, the music's too loud. For some, it's, maybe it's not enough. And so trying to find that right balance. So, yeah, those are the things that we really focused or, looked at. And again, trying to have a tighter production with just, better energy. Now, let's be, let's call it what it is. Let's be really, really honest. We need to have, or we need to play well on the field. Like there's nothing better than playing well on the field to create great energy and excitement, within the stadium.
Do you feel like after all of that, the hype video, the music, whatever, there are times, I'm completely engaged on covering the team, and during breaks or I guess timeouts, I'm doing something anyway. So I'm not like experiencing it. I'm not there as a fan. But do you feel like if you would have, like, for example, you had the decision about the tailgate guys, and that infuriated a lot of people who had put money into that, and that was something that you have to deal with. But now there's a new company called Revel XP who took over for tailgate guys. And is that something that you look back on as a decision that you might look at differently down the road?
Yeah, so I'll answer that here in a second, but let me go back to, because one of the important areas too that I left out was just our students. I thought, our students showed up, there was conversation, I think, maybe not every home game last year, but certainly a handful of them, about the corners not being filled and the number of students we were running on the Baylor line. And so, that was another really big area of focus for us. And I thought our students were unbelievable against Texas State and the way they came out, and, all of that. And so, to answer your question in terms of, tailgate guys, which is now Revel XP, candidly, they need to do better. And I think it was similar in some other places across the country when we think about the transition from tailgate guys to again Revel XP. And it's our job in terms of helping them be better, holding them accountable to be better. And I mentioned it earlier. Certainly our heads are not in the sand, and we're aware of some of the challenges that occurred, and we're busy at work daily this week working with them. So again, candidly disappointed in the execution, and our expectation is that the experience improves, and we'll always continue to evaluate that relationship.
And I know your day on a game day, I can't even imagine, but have you ever, for example, just had someone drive you over across the street to the Brazos parking area, which is where a lot of people that used to be across, which was on basically the McLean Stadium campus and around that area? It's a different animal. It really is. And it's almost like you wish you could take that and infuse it back towards where the stadium is, because that's where it used to be. Has anyone said that to you?
That's the way it used to be, or
the energy around the tailgate area. You make decisions. I know you've explained those decisions. Jovan did too. But it seems like, to me, the energy you would want around the stadium is across the street on MLK and not around where it used to be around the stadium. That a lot of times people have just migrated because of the decision-making of how the tailgate is run.
Yeah, I would say, that absolutely the energy across the street is terrific, and certainly have driven by enough times or walked by and have seen the energy, and so our obviously hope and desire would be for that same energy to be over up where we have all the tailgating up against McLean Stadium, et cetera, where Revel XP is. And I thought quite frankly, last year there were games where we had that same type of energy. And again, that's a space we have to do better. And we want to be able to replicate that same energy. No matter where you look at and you think about just spaces adjacent to McLean.
I know it's impossible for the athletic department to respond to any email or all emails because you might get, I don't know, 20,000 or you might get 400. I don't know. But is that the best way for people to still voice their opinion, knowing that most of the time the people who voice the opinion is going to be a negative? But I had a couple of people that have told me that they don't get responses, and I know it may be impossible. How would you think is the best way for someone to voice their opinion to Baylor Athletics about, in this particular case, the game day experience?
Yeah. So we do want people's opinion. And I mean that sincerely. I don't know, how you get better without, seeking feedback, opinion. So, email, absolutely. We don't have the capacity to answer every email.
Sure,
and
sure.
That's just the truth of it. But I will tell you, we read every email. We take them serious. We contemplate them. They have conversation about them. So although we may not respond to all of them, and now we do respond to some of them, but although we do not respond to all of them, we read them all and take them seriously. So we want to continue to get better, continue to evolve. I thought we made great improvements in terms of just all of the in-game stuff, and thought our students were great, and we've got some work to do in some other areas. The intro video is going to be a matter of opinion and style, whether you like that style, don't like that style. And then the other piece of it is you're trying to deal with some of the commercial breaks, and like for instance this game against Utah here on Saturday, there's going to be an expanded commercial format. So each commercial break will be at least 3 minutes, and so how do we handle and manage that as well? 3 minutes, is a long time to try to keep people engaged, energized, right? All of those things.
Last thing, Mack, and I know you're busy. Appreciate your time and coming on again a second time. How close are you to any kind of uniform reveal?
Well, I mean, we announced all of our home uniforms last week, right? Most of the combinations that we displayed, we've had since the rebrand. There's 6 different, combinations. We'll continue to work with Nike. I've spoken to that relationship, and so that's where we are in terms of the uniform. Again, we wanted to do that at the beginning of the year, get that done with, right? Not have to deal with that each and every game. So, hey, the other thing too, in terms of emails, certainly email the athletic department, but if it's specific to the tailgate piece, then I certainly also recommend emailing Rebel XP directly as well.
Mack, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. We'll see you Saturday.
All right. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor. I know that